Grade 9s, this week we're going to start figuring out how we can create electricity. So, not using a battery, how do we make energy for society? So, we're going to talk about this for the next couple of weeks in different ways that we do it. But basically, we need to have generators and motors to do this. Throughout this presentation, there's going to be a bunch of different cartoons. I'm not going to read them to you. I'll just put them up. You guys can go read them through the PowerPoint. They're good. So basically, we've already talked about batteries last week and how we make batteries and how we've made some fruit batteries that you guys have done. And so those are great. Batteries work out really well, but they don't work for large scale things. Can you imagine how big of a chemical battery you'd need for outdoor lighting? So for that, we're going to need something else. We're going to have to create our electricity some other way. So how do we get our energy? Most of our energy comes from mechanical energy, or something that moves, and that movement and that spinning is what's going to create our electricity. But the important thing is we need to have spinning with a magnet. Now, we're going to talk about, as we go through this whole PowerPoint, how electricity and magnetism are linked and how one can create the other. And that is how we are actually able to create our energy. Now, when we have wind turbines over here, our wind turbines, that spinning motion of their blades themselves actually turns the turbine. When you have the waterfalls for the hydroelectric, those are going through and spinning turbines. Even our coal, when it is burned, it's not actually the burning, it's that they create steam, and that steam turns a turbine. So all of that turning of a turbine is how we actually get our electricity. So this is showing you a generator where you're actually creating electricity by moving a coil of wire inside of a magnetic field. It's very important that you have to have a coil of wire and a magnetic field. So you need to have those magnets or it won't work. Stronger the magnet, the better your energy conversion is. So electricity can create magnetism. When you put a compass out, compasses use magnetism, and then you put it beside a current carrying wire, you're going to see that the needle will move. And so what happens is you actually create a magnetic field around the wire. So the wire itself, anytime you have a moving electron, so a current, any current is going to produce a magnetic field. And the direction of the magnetic field has to do with the direction of the current. Now, that's not until physics 30, but that idea and how that all worked was thanks to a guy named Oersted. It was his experiment, and he accidentally figured this out in front of all of the important physicists of the day. Accidentally. I think he found it out beforehand personally, and then found it in front of everyone because it was way more dramatic and exciting to do. But he just had all of his stuff set up, and electricity was kind of like a magician's game at the time. It wasn't really considered this exciting field of science because you couldn't use it. You couldn't create it and store it and use it. And until we could create, store, and use energy, it was kind of like a parlor trick. Oh, look, I can create like a little arc. Exciting! Like I showed you guys with the static electricity off of the Van de Graaff generator, and you saw it spark across, and you're like, ooh, looks cool. But it didn't actually do anything. So until Oersted's found this, we couldn't use that electricity in the way that we now use it today. So basically, if you have a current running through a wire and you put it over top of a compass, the compass finds magnetic fields, right? It points in the direction, so it will turn and point in the direction of that magnetic field. Very, very exciting. So here's a video for you can do it. Stop watching at 3 minutes. Pay attention to the stop watching points in here. We're trying to make it so that you guys don't have to watch forever and ever and ever. And then magnetism can also create electricity. So if you take a wire just connected to a light bulb and you move it over a magnet. Now this is not going to work if you try this at home and your magnet isn't strong enough and your wire's too thick or your light bulb has too high of a voltage. But basically it will work. You just might have to have a coil of it to make it work well. And then you'd need to make a solenoid, and there's like it's not quite as simple as this picture shows it, because it may not be quite as easy. The main thing that you need to get is you have to have that movement. The wire has to move in the magnetic field, or the magnetic field has to be moving, or you do not create electricity, or you have your electricity does not create magnetism. The movement is the key. Very, very important. Okay, so that voltage is created in the wire as long as either the coil of wire or the magnet is moved. If motion is stopped or they're both moving together, no voltage is created. So super, super, super important. You can have this when you get what I just said was this fancy word called solenoid. Solenoid is like the science word for coil of wire. So if you look here, see how this wire's all coiled? This, honestly, drawing this diagram when I was in grade 12, that was like my art ability right there. But this here, drawing this solenoid, that coil of wire wrapped around in a circle, that is a solenoid. It basically is a coil of wire. And why you want to do that is you want to have that magnet going through as many different types of wire as possible so that you get a stronger current being created. Or if it's a current that you're creating, you want a stronger magnetic field that will either oppose the motion of the magnet. So this was the birth of electromagnets. Electromagnets are used all over the place. They're in pretty much every single piece of electronics. And electromagnets are when you have this coil of wire, solenoid, coil of wire wrapped up, and then you can have a magnet wherever you want it, because you just have to have a current running through there and you have a magnetic field. You can make this magnetic field stronger by adding the iron core. So in this case, the nail, by putting something magnetic inside, you can actually make a magnet stronger. Adding more coils, more turns will make it stronger. Making the wire thinner, all those same things that had to do with resistance will work here as well. So this is how you make an electromagnet. You take a piece of wire, you wrap it around a nail, ideally an iron nail, wrap it around a nail, attach it to a battery, and you can actually create a magnet. That you can do at home. Now, these magnets, as I said, the softer the core, the more coils of wire, the more current you put through it, this is how you're going to make it stronger. So if you want your magnetic field to be stronger, you need to have iron in the center. You need to have more coils of wire. You need to have a stronger current. All of those things will happen. Now, if you reverse the current, you reverse the poles. So for example, if you had a north pole on the left and then you switched your current, turned your battery around, which would be your switching of the current, then your north would be on the right. So our entire Earth acts as an electromagnetic field. As an electromagnet. It has an electromagnetic field around it. So watch this video so you can find out a little bit more about it. And there's another one talking about what electromagnets are used for and how they're used in like maglev trains, how we use them when we have like the cranes here for the junkyards. Now, what's cool about a magnet that's made from an electromagnet is you can turn it off. It has a switch. There are not very many magnets that have a switch. So this creation of a magnet that you can turn off and turn on was really, really exciting. Now, once we had that, we needed to be able to use it. So we wanted to be able to create our motors and our generators. Now, a generator and a motor are exactly the same in how you make them. It just changes whether you're inputting energy or outputting energy. So we're going to start with the generator. There's two types, AC, alternating current, and DC, not the band. But AC/DC, actually their band name came from the different types of current. So direct current goes only in one direction. Alternating current goes forwards and backwards. So it goes both directions through the wire all the time. Now, alternating current is what you get from your plugins in your house. It's what goes through anything that plugs into your house. And what happens with alternating current is that you're taking your mechanical energy, turning it into electrical energy. So by having that wire spin inside of a magnetic field, it creates a current in the wire. And that current, when it comes out, goes in one direction for half of the turn. And then as it goes through the second half of the turn, it goes in the opposite direction. And the reason is because you're changing where that one wire is in the field. So it's because it's circular is why it goes forwards and backwards. So as the coil rotates, the electrons are pulled in one direction. When half a rotation is made, the permanent magnets pull the electrons on the other side of the coil near the opposite pole. And so then the direction changes. So that's why it's called alternating current. So why is this good? Alternating current is great because you constantly have a changing current, which means you can constantly create a magnetic field. So making your electromagnets super easy. It's really good for long distance transmission through wires. So when you're driving outside and you see those power lines, all of that's on AC. And the voltage can be decreased. So it's great. DC, on the other hand, you're going to create it exactly the same way, but you just have to be a little bit more careful about how you do it. So remember, when you go half of a turn, then it switches the direction. So what they do is they don't change it at all. They just change how it's connected. So this commutator, so this is a commutator. There's a few parts of these that you need to know. So armature is your coil of wire. Your field magnet is a permanent magnet on the outside. The brushes touch the commutator. So here you have one wire always attached to I'm just going to move myself over here so this makes it a little bit easier. One of your brushes is one of the wires inside is always attached to this side, and one of the other wire is always attached to the bottom. And so it's called a split ring commutator. Split ring because the ring is literally split in two. So it's like two C's. So these brushes, which take the electricity out and use it as usable energy, these brushes, they will switch which side that they're on. So they'll touch this part of the C, and then as it rotates around, it'll touch this part of the C. And therefore, it always gets the same direction of current because it switches which side you're looking at. So the DC generator itself, and I will go over this in class again because then I'll be able to hold one, you'll be able to see it. But that DC generator itself just switches which side of the ring it's looking at, so it always comes out as a single direction of current. So here's a little bit nicer of a picture of how that works. But it's just showing you that with this split here, you're going to always be seeing the same side. DC generators produce pulsing current that lines up with the spinning of the generator. In current electricity that is produced by a DC generator, it's not the same as that produced by a battery. Although both devices produce current in one direction only, the DC produces pulses. So the reason is as it turns, you're going to have a maximum amount of current because you're changing the field. So that maximum amount of current happens when it's perpendicular to the field. So it's going to go through and it's going to get bigger and smaller. And so it literally will look like a wave. If you made a graph of it, it goes bloop, 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 bloop. Whereas if you have AC, it goes and goes below, like positive and negative. I'm really glad that this is just you guys who watch these. So here's another cartoon of how to make this at home. And I actually make one instead of using safety pins. I use paper clips, but you can absolutely use safety pins at home. You can make this wire, which would be your solenoid. So you can make that and just use a battery, use an elastic band, 2 safety pins, and a magnet, and you can make a motor at your house. Super cool. If you do make the motor at your house, you have less work to do this week, which is good. Okay, so here's a difference between AC motors and DC motors when you're looking at them. So basically, the armature is going to be the difference, and here you've got a whole bunch of splits in this one, so it's just a different type of split ring commutator because you have multiple different coils inside. And the more coils that you have, the more splits you need to have in your commutator. So if you think about that, that's going to be your reasoning why. Places where you find them in your house: AC motors, dishwasher, washing machine, garage door